Welcome to the Plato Paradigm, a paradigm shift in reading Plato's dialogues. Episode 233, Lysis 216d. Socrates and Lysis had reached the conclusion that the friendly or friendship is not of like to like, while Menexenus and Socrates reached the conclusion that the friendly is not a relationship between opposites. Since neither boy seems to have the initiative to react at all, Socrates is still leading the conversation and suggesting an alternative. If the friendly is not of like to like or of opposite to opposite, then perhaps it is of the good to the not good nor bad, something in between. This is the closest we've come to suggesting that we shouldn't be looking at extremes. We should remember that Menexenus was introduced by Lysis as someone who is good at eristics, and yet since then Socrates hasn't mentioned eristics. He's simply using eristic techniques, and Menexenus has done what he can to avoid being caught in an eristic trap. Socrates, in fact, has missed his chance to appear to beat Menexenus. He could have laughed at him when they concluded that the friendly is not even of opposite to opposite, having already concluded with Lysis that the friendly is not of like to like. This is ridiculous. Menexenus would be a laughingstock were Socrates to point this out. It is in fact a bit anti-eristic to suggest a middle ground. The not good and the not bad would sound like it's in the middle somewhere. This is not eristic. At least an average eristician wouldn't bother to go to all that trouble. It's much easier to win when you stick to the extremes. We should know by now that Socrates is not an eristician. He is not out to win an argument, because that is ridiculous, but he does use eristic techniques. I suggest that he uses eristic techniques in order to puzzle the boys. When it comes to a complex puzzle, a real philosophical problem, that would be too hard for the boys. But an eristic claim is fairly easy to locate if they really were paying attention. We see how easy it is to pick up eristic techniques in Plato's dialogue Euthydemus, where Ctesippus, the cousin of Menexenus, is portrayed as a young man who easily learns how to ask the sort of eristic questions which the two old men have been asking. The two old men themselves, one of them being Euthydemus, have only just learnt eristics. They were not eristicians all their lives. If there is one consistent theme in that dialogue, it is that eristics is very easy to learn and very harmful. It does away with logic. It may embarrass people into not asking questions, and certainly into not answering questions. In this way, eristics may be seen to be the opposite of dialectic. And yet, we see here Socrates using eristic techniques in what is surely intended to make the boys think dialectically. We may see a similar phenomenon in the dialogue Phaedrus, where Socrates applies rhetoric to the service of dialectic. If it comes to that, even Plato's dialogues should be seen as a form of rhetoric being used in the service of dialectic. Legotoinon apomantiouomenos tu kalutikai agathu philon einai to metagathon metakakon. I say then, being divinely inspired, that the neither good nor bad is the friend of both the fine and the good. Socrates has just said that the good is the fine, and we may therefore discount it here and just say that Socrates is claiming that what is between good and bad, since it's neither good nor bad, and it must be on the spectrum, so it must be between the good and the bad, this is the friend of the good. We might ask why what is between the good and the bad, what is neither good nor bad, has to be a friend of the good rather than of the bad. The answer is surely, following the whole of the conversation so far, that friendship is being regarded as something at least useful, but ideally beneficial. The boys have been regarding the friend as the one who can benefit them. They have not seen themselves as the friend. Socrates has hinted that they may be the friend when he described the friend as slippery and handsome. Pros ade legon mantiouomai akuson. By speaking with regard to what am I divinely inspired? Listen. Dokemoi hospere tria atta enai gene tomen agathon todekakon tod utagathon utekakon. Tidesoi. Kai moi efe. There seem to me to be as if three types: the good, the bad, and the neither good nor bad. What seems to you? Also to me, he said. We are used to categorizing things by genus and species. These are the Latin terms, genus and species, and they are direct translations of genos and eidos. The word originally used instead of genos was idea, which is also an aspect. Idea is the whole aspect, and the eidos is one part of that aspect. What it is to be an animal, for example, is to be found in every particular case of an animal, and this is the idea animal, later the genos animal. This is the whole group. I prefer idea because this is the whole aspect, and then we can divide that aspect into smaller aspects, narrower aspects. For example, the aspect animal of the air, and another aspect animal of the land, and another aspect animal of the sea. Each of these narrower aspects is an eidos. We have the idea and the eidos. In theory, we could say that one aspect is animal of the air, and one other aspect would be animal not of the air. Such a division is unsatisfactory. We really need to have the exact aspects which, when put together, make the entire idea. When it comes to the good, it does make sense to categorize by the terms to agathon, the good, tokakon, which is the opposite of the good, the bad, but not everything not good is actually the opposite of the good. Therefore, we should have another aspect which should be neutral between good and bad. Logically, if we know what the good is, we automatically know what the bad is, since it is the opposite of the good. And then, if we apply good and bad to the real world, we may find that everything in the real world is neither good nor bad, or is in some way good and in some way bad. Many people talk about the perfect good. There is something which is perfectly good, which is a fallacious notion derived from something Socrates says in one or two dialogues. This does not mean that there actually is a perfectly good thing. The only dialogue in which we have a dramatization of the definition of the good is Hippias Major. And in this dialogue, we find out not only what the good is, but also what the fine is. And we finally understand why good and fine are so closely connected in Greek culture and actually in any other culture. The good is the fitting, and the fine, or the beautiful, is the apparently fitting. So to agathon is what actually is fitting, to kalon is what appears to be fitting. When talking about the concept goodness or beauty, it suffices to talk about the fitting and the apparently fitting. Obviously, there is the opposite, the not fitting, the apparently not fitting, but that is redundant in understanding the concepts themselves. It no longer becomes redundant only when we apply these concepts to particulars in the real world. When we apply fittingness and apparent fittingness to particulars in the real world, we see that nothing can be absolutely fitting on its own, because when you are fitting to something, for something, in some sort of way. So nothing in this world is absolutely good or absolutely bad, and it is misleading to categorize everything as the good things, the bad things, and the things which are neither good nor bad. There are no such things. Every particular thing is good in some way, bad in some way, and neither good nor bad in some other ways. What's interesting, however, is that a friend as a friend may be regarded as good. A friend is fitting to whomever the person is a friend to.